together sometimes with like, what's the difference between bisexuality and pansexuality? And the answer is it depends. It depends on the person. The simplest way I can explain it is among bisexuals, you tend to have narrow definition bisexuals and broad definition bisexuals. Narrow definition bisexuals are often seeing their orientation through the lens of binary gender, which means for them, they're attracted to men and to women. And for a lot of more narrow definition bisexuals, that can be limited to cisgender men and cisgender women.
What does that mean, Sister Jen?
So cisgender means you identify with the gender that you were assigned at birth versus transgender, where you identify with a gender identity that you were not assigned at birth. So that's like your narrow definition bisexuals. And then your more broad tent bisexuals, I've heard it described as I'm attracted to my gender and other genders. So that's the bi in their bisexuality. And that can include, for some people, cis and trans people within who they're sexually attracted to. So there we go. I think oftentimes bisexual identity has to do, not always, but often with how old you are. Because I know when I was younger, I'd never heard the term pansexual. I didn't hear that until I was probably well into my 30s. Whereas when I was a younger person, it was like, well, you're straight or you're gay or you're bisexual. And so for me, I'm like, well, if those are the three choices I have, then I'm bisexual. And so that's how I came to that understanding. I know a lot of my younger peers and friends from Gen Z have a completely different and much more like broad-based view of what's possible as a sexual being compared to like me when I was a teenager.
So what is Gen Z?
Gen Z, those are the folks that came after the millennials, right? So the millennials are the people born between 1980 and 2000. So the Gen Z folks are the young adults who were born from like the year 2000 to the year 2020.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that one before. Excellent. Okay, so what you were just saying there is that you've got bisexual where, for example, I like men and women, but you've also got transsexual people who also like men and women, but yeah, so explain that.
Sure. No, it's just to say for some people, when they say I'm bisexual, it means I'm attracted to men and women, and attracted to men and women who like identify with the same gender they were born with. Some people say I'm bisexual, and that means I'm attracted to men and women, trans people, non-binary people, like people from all across the gender spectrum.
Yeah.
And like, I can appreciate that from the outside, it can be like, that's a little bit confusing. And I share this just to say, like, there's a lot of diversity among bisexual people.